In this video, you will learn how to create Spark component skins and work with the skinnable Spark containers. You will also use constraint-based layout to position the container content within a skin and then apply a skin to a component using CSS. Here's the completed Employee Portal application for this video. I will apply 3 skins for this application border, the blue header area, and the panel containers. The application and header skins are applied inline in the MXML tag instances, while the panel skin is applied to all panel instances at once using CSS. In earlier videos, I emphasized the fact that MX components have their skins built right into the component properties. Spark skins are different. Their skins are separate from the content and functionality of the component. A Spark skin can contain graphics, text, images, and transitions. They also support component states so that the component on which the skin is applied can visually respond to user or system events. You can apply skins to a component in CSS, MXML, and ActionScript. In this video, you will learn how to apply skins using the first 2 methods. For MX components, you can apply many styles directly on the component as property values. Because Spark components are built differently, you only have a few available properties that you can set, like background color. If you want to apply styles to a Spark component, you will usually want to create a skin for it. You will create skins as separate MXML class files and then apply them to a component using the skin class property. This example shows that you reference the skin class by first referencing its package. In this case, the skin resides in the skins directory of the project. You create a skin class by creating an MXML file that extends the Spark skin class. You first define all the states of a skin. By default, you will define a normal and disabled state, but you can create multiple states for your skin. You will learn how to create a skin for multiple button states in a later video. Next, you define a metadata tag block, which defines the host component directive. This property declares what type of component this skin will be applied to. After the host component directive, you specify any graphical elements for the skin. Lastly, you define the skin parts. For instance, a container has content, and a panel container has content and a title field. These are examples of built-in skin parts. Doing all this defines the contract between the skin and its component. In the Flex project, I'm opening the application container skin.mxml file that I've created in a directory named skins. You can see that the opening tag, or in OOP terminology, the class that the skin is extending, is the Spark skin class. Otherwise, this code just contains the same namespace and properties that you've seen in the application tag. The first property in this skin is the states property, which defines the normal and disabled states. You must define at least these 2 states. Next, you see that I've added a metadata tag block that defines the host component, which is the application class in the sparks.components package. You can use the language reference in the Flash Builder help application to find the package for any class. This host component directive tells the skin which component that the skin can be applied to. The rect tag block defines a background for the skin. You will learn more about this MXML graphics class in the next video. For now, just be aware that you can draw display elements with MXML in Flex 4. There isn't any color property defined for this graphic, but I have created a linear gradient stroke instance with a line weight of 1 pixel. This will create a box around the application that is 973 pixels wide by 636 pixels high, starting at the 00 point of the application, which is the upper left corner. Note that the application container in the main application file has a slightly larger pixel dimension. I could have easily just changed this rectangle's dimensions to 100% so that it would automatically expand to the values defined by the application container. The last element in the skin is a required group container that must have an ID property value of content group. The content group is a skin part that represents all of the visual content that you have defined between the opening and closing application container in the main application file. You will learn more about skin parts in a later video. Back in the main application file, I'm adding a skin class property to the opening application tag. This property points to the skins package, which is the skins folder in my project, and specifies the application container skin class that I just created. If I had used Flash Builder's Code Assist tool to add the application container skin class, it would automatically reference the package and create this script block. The script block isn't necessary, so I'm deleting it. When I save the file and run the application, you can see that the application has a black border running around all the sides. It butts up right against the top and left edges and leaves too much space on the left and bottom edges. I'll deal with that in a moment, but note that this Flex application is just slightly wider than this black border. The rest of the white space is defined by the HTML wrapper file. Back in the application container skin custom component, I will add constraints to the group container that will force the container's content children, in this case the application content, to display further from the rectangular border. I am adding a left constraint of 20 pixels, a right constraint of 10 pixels, a top constraint of 25 pixels, and a bottom constraint of 10 pixels. When I save the file and run the application, you can see that the rectangular border around the application is nicely positioned around the content. The next task for this video is to create a skin for the background of this header area. Remember that there are two categories of containers in Spark: non-skinnable containers and skinnable containers. Note that the skinnable containers include the application and panel containers, plus two other containers named skinnable container and skinnable data container. For every group or data group container that you would like to skin, you should instead use a skinnable container or a skinnable data container, respectively. I'm returning to the main application file in Flash Builder. This group container holds the application logo and employee portal header text. I want to apply a skin to this header area with a blue background, so I'm converting the group container into a skinnable container. I'm applying a skin class property and setting the value to skins.topContainerSkin. I'm opening the top container skin class file, which I've already created, by clicking on the class name while holding down the Control key. In this skin, you see the normal and disabled states as before. The host component now creates a contract with the skinnable container class. The rect block draws a blue rectangle with radius X and radius Y properties that create the rounded corners. The last element in the skin is the required group container with the ID property set to the content group skin part. Remember that this skin part represents all the content in the container. In this case, that would be the logo and employee portal text. When I save the main application file and run the application, you can see that the main header area now has a blue background with rounded corners on all four sides. The last feature I will show you in this video is how to apply a skin in CSS to update the look and feel of these three panel containers all at once. I'm opening the panelskin.mxml file. You can see that it has the typical states block and a host component metadata directive that makes a contract with the panel container. The panel skin is drawing a rectangle with rounded corners and a gray background. There is also a path statement that you will learn about in the next video. For now, just know that it creates an orange header background for the panel title. I'm opening the CSS file for this project, which you will recall is hooked into the main application file via this style tag. In the CSS file, I am locating the panel container style, which already defines a gray background color. I am deleting that background color attribute and then adding a skin class property with a value that uses the class reference function to apply the custom skins.panel skin class. When I save the file and run the application, you can see that the panel containers are now skinned with the drawn gray and orange shapes. For your next step, watch the video titled Drawing with MXML Graphics.